last time we talked not a little bit, but quite a bit about Mike Johnson and his role with this extremist group in Israel, who has shown violent proclivities towards getting this temple rebuilt. And we saw that this new Argentinian president, Javier Milei, is also giving speeches about rebuilding this temple and quoting Talmudic prophecy, not Bible prophecy, but Talmudic prophecy. And we even saw that Javier Milei's last name isn't Milei, it's Milikowski, which is the same as the Netanyahu family, which was once also under the name Milikowski. And all this is just to show that there's a Christian and Jewish Zionist movement to rebuild and establish the third temple in Jerusalem. And we see that they have different reasons, but the article we looked at in the last episode says even though they have different reasons for it, they're coming together with the same goal to usher in this building of the third temple. And what they hope happens is the coming of the Messiah, or in the evangelical Christian perspective, the Antichrist, and they'll be raptured away before all this happens. And at some point, this is not a rapture-based conversation, but we'll also address the rapture-based fallacy of everybody being raptured away before all the bad stuff happens.
We wouldn't get a warning about those things if we weren't going to have to be part of it or endure through it. So when we look at Revelation, it talks about that. And when we look at Daniel, but that's for another conversation.
And how disheartening would it be for people who think they're going to be raptured away, and then this stuff starts happening, and they're still here.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a really difficult time, and so we want to try to break down these walls so people are not disappointed when these things don't happen the way they expect, or lose faith, or end up on Satan's side because they think God has somehow turned their back on them or something. 3 of the 4 say it's about Messiah, it's about something related to the Advent, and then the Jewish one says, no way, we put a curse on anybody who says otherwise.
And Jesus said this gospel of the kingdom needs to be preached to all the world, but if we're looking at it strictly from like a Jewish perspective, it's only for the Jews. There's not this getting the message to everybody, right? Because you have to be in the bloodline, or that's really all that can be done.
That's interesting you say bloodline, because that's another aspect of the conversation I had with the rabbi, which is, it's in his view, it's by blood. Like being a Jew, it doesn't matter if you follow the faith of Abraham. I actually have a secular Jewish friend that I witness to all the time about this, and he's the one that got me in touch with the rabbi, oddly enough, because he thought if somebody, smarter than me, who the rabbi I'm sure he is, could come and school me on these things, and maybe the opposite happened a bit.
Yeah.
And that you pushed him a little bit. But my secular Jewish friend says, no, I'm still Jewish, but I reject that there may not be a God in heaven. I don't keep any kind of Jewish faith, but I'm Jewish because I was born Jewish. And if I'm born Jewish, whether I choose to participate in the faith or not, I'm still better off than all the goyim that are floating around, even though I reject everything about it. So somehow along the lines, and this was again the problem of the ancient Jews, because if you were the children of Abraham, you'd have done the works of Abraham. Yeah. He spoke of me. Like you're reading the scriptures, and these are they which testify of me, and you don't understand these things. So it's like the same stuff happening then, even though we're modern and all this information. This same mindset is permeating in the Jewish world today.
There's nothing new under the sun.
It's incredible to me. And they say he's going to come back, not only build this temple, but he's going to make war against the heathen. And the rabbi shared with me that this is the view. And he's like, well, you won't necessarily be part of the heathen, but you got to acknowledge the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So this Messiah is coming back and going to set up this nation and make war with the heathen. And this is what the Jewish nation wants. And if you tell them that that's not going to happen, but they can still be a child of God, most of them will be very sad or angry with you. All the groups agreed that the 70 weeks is 490 years. This is almost miraculous because if you go ask a Jew or a Catholic or most Protestants, do you use the day-year principle in prophetic interpretation? They're going to be like, what?
What is that?
What are you talking about? And in fact, you go to all these other prophecies where day-year principle is included, and they're like, that doesn't work. But for some reason, on this one prophecy,
and then they take all the other prophecies and they throw it literal wherever.
Yes. And so why do you universally apply day-year principle here, but reject the principle elsewhere? At least the Adventists are consistent in applying day-year principle consistently.
Yeah.
I found that really, really interesting. And here, Rabbi Ben Zion Kravitz agreeing, saying both Jews and Christians agree that this is referring to a multiple of years for 490 years. As we get further and further into it, and we start doing the math and we start putting together the pieces of the puzzle, you will see that the weight of evidence brings one answer to the top, and it doesn't matter whether you're Adventist or Jewish or Christian. It's not a denominational view.
Yeah.
It's the end result of doing due diligence on these scriptures.
And this might seem heavy for those who are new to some of these things, but if you just keep studying, keep learning, pray for God's guidance, and go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
Go through, read through all the quotes and verses again, and take note of each of the positions' views, take notes of the verses, each word, because every line upon line, and Revelation says those who remove one word or add one word, his name will be removed from the book of life. So we have to take in consideration every word. And when we do that and we see the grand fulfillment of this whole culmination of this 70 weeks and 2,300 days, it's just absolutely amazing.
It is, and the truth stands for itself. And then you look around and say, well, who's teaching? Who understands this? And you'll find there's only one group. They're back to that verse where we says there can be no private interpretation.
Yeah.
And Twitter is filled with people with their own private interpretations that don't even understand the basic tenets. So brothers and sisters, be careful where you're getting your information from, because people can make up a lot of stories that sound really good, especially with the Trump narrative right now and the messianic aspect of going on. But the Bible interprets itself, and history can show that we can bring out most of the answers, and we don't have to be geniuses. Like, we're not, Matt and Mackenzie aren't coming up with this ourselves. We're using what's readily available that anyone can use to come to these understandings.